Good evening, and welcome to Sacred Heart Church, Southbury, for our online gathering. Welcome to each one, both near and far, parishioner and visitor, and those who are joining us for the first time. Welcome. It is good to be together. This evening, I would like to reflect on the book of Job. I like to think of Job as hope for our troubled times. It may certainly reflect good reading for our day. The book of Job is found in the wisdom literature in our Bible and offers pithy sayings and wise stories on how to live a good and holy life. The book of Job, in particular, deals with the problem of suffering, especially suffering of the innocent. Job is the story of a good man whose life seems to collapse around him. He has crisis after crisis with his animals, his land, even his children. He is known as a blameless and upright man, a holy man who has a great belief and trust in God. But that all gets changed as he deals with suffering. His friends come to comfort him by offering advice, reminding him of the belief of their day that suffering was a punishment for sin. Job finds this difficult to believe, and his well-meaning friends only add to his suffering. Job continues to search for answers, but none seem to be forthcoming. On the verge of despair, he curses the day he was born and longs for his death so that he might be put out of his misery. His wife grows weary of his complaining and asks him to curse God, the God that he loves, and get it over with. But Job refuses to curse God. Instead, he demands to hear from God and from God alone. Job, I think, is a story we can all identify with these days. We all know that place of deep suffering and loneliness. We feel abandoned, we feel isolated. We know for sure that no one will understand us, for no one has seen our pain. We, like Job, believe that we too are good people, and we begin to wonder what we have done to deserve this. The story of Job offers us a way to hang in there, even when we too want to curse the day we were born. We, like Job, can dismiss the platitudes of our well-meaning friends. We can reach into the depths of our pain and demand answers from God. It is really okay to be angry with God and to voice our deepest feelings to God. Just look at the Psalms. Just look at Job. But then we have to be willing to wait, to listen, and to trust, none of which are easy. Trust and patience seem to disappear just when we need them most. But Job reminds us not to despair. He reminds us to continue to reach out again and again, to call out from the depths of our hearts, the depths of our pain, to the God that seems so distant, so uncaring, so non-existent. For in the end, God does indeed answer Job. God reminds Job of who Job is and who God is by asking the simple question, "Where were you when I founded the earth?" This question is meant to direct Job's attention to the magnificent workings of the universe by the God of all creation. God does not take away Job's pain or even address it directly. Rather, God enables Job to get outside of the very small world that pain built for him and see the possibility of the power and the glory of God in all things, new and renewing. God also reminds Job that he found his friends' advice insulting. Illness, crisis, disasters, pandemics are never a punishment for sin. So why do we suffer? We don't really know. Is it the questions that allow us to search for a deeper meaning in life? Do we allow ourselves to learn much from suffering? Do we, in time, find new friends, discover renewed hope, surrender old habits, realize other ways of living our lives? Maybe, and maybe not. But answers, specific answers, always seem to elude us. Suffering will always be with us, and with it many questions. Following Job's process, we can rest assured that in asking the questions and keeping our minds and our hearts focused on the God of all that is, we too can find renewed peace and healing. Here is Job's final prayer to God. This translation is from the Message from Eugene Peterson. Job answered God, "I'm convinced you can do anything and everything. Nothing and no one can upset your plans. You asked, who is muddying the water, ignorantly confusing the issue, second-guessing my purposes? I admit it, I was the one. I babbled on and on about things far beyond me, made small talk about wonders way over my head. You told me, listen, and let me do the talking. Let me answer the questions. You give the answers. I admit, I once lived by rumors of you. Now I have it all firsthand, from my own eyes and my own ears. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I'll never do it again, I promise. I'll never again live on crusts of hearsay and crumbs of rumors." What a beautiful prayer, from the heart, being honest, taking responsibility, growing closer to God. May all who are on a path of deep suffering these days be assured of God's faithful presence and loving embrace. And let us hold one another in prayer. Amen. Have a good evening. Good night.